Hello YouTube, I'm David with the David West channel. Well, it's going to be cloudy all day today. It's not supposed to rain. So this would be the perfect day to make a flint and steel video. What I wanted to show you today is that we all know that char cloth is so intensely hot that there's no challenge to ignite tinder. But you know, char cloth will ignite coarse tinder. And that's what I want to attempt to show you today. I want to break off these small branches here and fashion them into a tinder bundle and go ahead and ignite them. And then also all of these pine cones. I want to get a big enough piece of char cloth, get it started, and directly ignite some pine cones without feathers sticking or breaking down into individual fibers. And I have the perfect piece of char cloth that I wanted to sort of get rid of. It's down here on the bottom of my supply. Yes, even though I advocate not cooking char cloth down in the coals because I think the occasional batch of really brittle char cloth, I think that's what causes it, trying to cook it down in the coals. But still, even though I cook mine in the flames, I still end up with a few bad pieces. And here's a piece of some jeans where you button them, and this turned out fairly brittle. So let's go ahead and use this today. It's just a little bit harder to ignite, but it'll still ignite and it'll still work just fine. Let's go ahead and see if we can ignite coarse tinder. I picked this piece of pine up off the ground just a minute ago. I feel just a little bit of moisture in it. But like I say, we know how hot char cloth gets, so it should work just fine. And like where you've taken and whittled out a set, like the handful of shavings that you end up with, that's ideal. You can ignite those very easily also. Here is our coarse tinder. And I have some little branches on the table that I'll put on top of the char cloth. I'm just going to use one of these little tiny shards here. And as always, I like to tear it in half to expose all these little threads. Just because your char cloth is brittle doesn't mean it's unusable. Now that ignited and went back out. That ignited. It stayed ignited. If it wasn't so brittle, it'd be spreading across the top of that a lot quicker. Let's build up some heat because it's going to take plenty of heat to ignite the coarse tinder. There we go. with pine, there's usually a lot of smoke before you actually get the flames. I see a flame down in there. Constant aeration will work when nothing else will, with any tinder bundle really. When you're blowing on it, it cools back off by by the time you've taken another breath to blow on it again. It's already cooled off. So waving it keeps constant aeration, keeps the heat intensifying and spreading. There might be a time when you have to do something like this, and it's good to know what you can get out of a bigger piece of char cloth. So oh, there's that air conditioner. That's right, this is probably the place where I go to time lapse anyways. All right, the air conditioner finally cut off. And it's going to be the same thing with these short-leaf pine cones. I'm just going to pack them tightly together. Use a bigger piece of char cloth. Get them ignited, take our time with it, have patience. And get these going to Coarse Tinder. Boy, this is really brittle. I'm glad to be getting rid of it. Every single strike I made, what was it, 3 to get ignition, they all hit the char cloth. I mean, there's nothing wrong with brittle char cloth. I mean, it'll still work. It's just not going to catch as quickly. I see some flames trying to burst forth. Probably easier on a table that wasn't leaning as drastically as this one is. Alright, y'all. You get the idea. So, if you have some char cloth that's thick and hard and you sort of want to get rid of it, don't get rid of it. It's still got a lot of heat in it. It can still ignite coarse tinder. This is my normal size piece of char cloth. So even if you have good supple char cloth, even like 4 pieces of this would produce enough heat to ignite coarse tinder. So, alright, y'all. Appreciate you joining me on this one. We'll catch you on the next one.